the Federation is a new and interesting experiment because it combines the sets of skills from different stakeholders, so Asso Grafici, Asso Carta, Semga, for example, and Comieco. So these are the protagonists of the entire supply chain of paper and graphics, supply chain. So this is a new setup, if you will, that taps on the resources of each and every association, and it addresses cross-cutting topics that are of interest to the entire industry and supply chain. So we are very agile, extremely reactive, and it doesn't actually replace the duties and responsibilities of the various associations. There are several topics we have addressed in recent times, for example, Industry 4.0, that touches upon different stakeholders in the very same fashion. So this perspective, this way of doing things, in my opinion, is very interesting, that needs to be developed further. I would like just to set the scene and give you some facts and figures about the supply chain. So I've already mentioned the members of our federation, Semga, the Italian Manufacturer Association of Machinery for the Graphic Converting and Paper Industry, Asso Carta, Asso Grafici, and Comieco. So, and they represent 1.4% of GDP, so 25 billion in terms of turnover, and more than 170,000 employees, and over 18,000 companies. So they represent an important element of the Italian manufacturing industry. And some of the services they provide were deemed essential during COVID-19 pandemic. On the one hand, we have the information and cultural sector, so newspapers, magazines and books, and then the packaging sector. Let's think about food products and pharmaceuticals, and then the whole sector of hygiene with toilet paper, and also the infrastructure for recycling, represented by Comieco as aggregate partners. You know that the raw material for packaging is, above all, recycled paper. So packaging manufacturers use paper-based products that contain this secondary raw material, which is a result of a fully fledged recycling process. And this is a topic that is particularly dear to the Federation.
We were mentioning this earlier on. We were mentioning the importance of relationships, of networking, as this enables the launch of Industry 4.0 and also managing sustainability in a concrete way, in a very substantial way. And this is something that all actors have in common. All actors had to go on to keep working, and the whole industry has actually proven to be able to go on working and has increased its visibility and importance in the eye of the general population. Because as you were saying, for the health sector and for many products that were extremely important during this time, this industry has been working. Sustainability is also linked to the idea of creating a network and creating a federation. This has a lot to do with communication on the environment. What are the projects you're working on?
The topic of sustainability is very important to us. Well, first of all, the paper industry is a main actor or a protagonist when it comes down to sustainability. And I'm saying this because the whole industry owned all the environmental objectives in order to reduce carbon footprint. And Also because paper per se is a sustainable material, it is recyclable and biodegradable. So it is part of the environmental cycle. We are all struggling with communication, on how to communicate our way of doing business. And for this reason, we are relying on the skills of external communication experts in order to summarize our key message so that this message is delivered to citizens, opinion makers, etc. So it might come across as a trivial subject matter, but it isn't. We, however, as an industry, are placed at the very center of the circular economy framework. And in a friendly way, if you will, this position of ours allows us to go beyond some fake news. For example, in recent years, the paper industry was harshly criticized due to deforestation. And luckily, this era is over because these fake news were dismantled, so much so that in Europe, the forest surface in the past 10 years has increased almost like the size of Switzerland. So, or let's replace paper with digital media, well, due to deforestation. As a matter of fact, they wanted to accelerate digitalization phenomenon, which to us is just as important for product use. I'm saying this because there is still a long way to go, and we have to keep on studying because the issues of circular economy aren't trivial at all, and they cannot be fixed with slogans.
So this is something rather new, and we'll be saying and explaining this during the day. We reached this point suddenly, almost suddenly, and somebody could think that it was enough to just change a couple of things and everything would be fine. No, there are so many different levers that we have to work on. And this is an interesting part of the challenge. This is why we are discussing this today and we're exploring this today with a much greater awareness than we used to have in the past when we were just thinking about iPads. Paper has been accompanying the human development since ancient Egypt, and this is not set to change. Are you only focusing on the environment in your communication, or is there something else?
As I stated earlier, since our interlocutors are opinion makers, civil society and institutions, we need to provide fully fledged communication in order to explain to them who we are. And then we have to drill down and explain all the matters that are dear to us. Earlier, I mentioned the Industry 4.0 project that really fosters a technological innovation. And this had implications in terms of training, because we decided to deploy a very specific project in this regard about training of member companies. Another important topic we're working on that drifts off a bit innovation is the promotion of sustainable packagings, sustainable and innovative packaging solutions, to be precise. And these solutions are really gathering momentum, and they are asked for by multinational corporations as well as consumers. And this is important to us and also to the industry as a whole. We need to create environment-friendly products that comply with market demands is an important thrust. Back to your question, that there are some general topics that we need to convey to civil society. We need to present to the main stakeholders who we are, what we do, and then there are some more specific messages that we need to send out about product specs when it comes to, for example, healthcare, pharmaceutical products, hygiene products, and these aspects may touch on packaging solutions and also on communication products or the graphic product. This is an interesting segment that has been suffering the most from the competition of digital media.
Well, that's for sure. Thank you very much. We are going to further explore these ideas. So let me thank Girolamo Marchi, the President of the Federation for Paper and Graphics, and we'll be discussing many of these topics during the day. Thank you once more.